It's an exhibit unlike any other. This month at the Oaklands Mansion in Murfreesboro, you still have time to see wedding gowns that date back to the 1800s. It's a wonderful opportunity to see how fashion has changed over the years.
This is the 9th annual Wedding Dresses Through the Decades. We started in 2012 and we have new dresses every year. It changes. This year we have 60 garments on display. We are fortunate to have our oldest dress is 1873 and we go through to 2019. It's fun when you look at the dresses through the decades to see the changes. The biggest change you notice is the size. The ladies back then were younger and smaller, and so the dresses are shorter and skinnier compared to as we grew through the decades. And then you also start to see some of the fashion trends come back when you look back maybe 3 decades. So you'll start to see the bows or the sleeves or the strapless. It just comes and goes through the years. This is the oldest dress on exhibit that we mentioned. It's from 1873, and it is on loan from the McNairy County Museum. They came through the exhibit last year and knew that they had a dress back at their museum that would be perfect for the exhibit and offered it on loan this year. And it's a wonderful community partnership in Tennessee that we can work with local museums and other historical societies to gain treasures like this that we can show to surrounding counties. This dress is in wonderful condition. Of course, being that old, it does have structural issues, but it has good bones and it still shows you the shape of the bride. Another one of our favorite dresses this year is Marjorie Hill Webb's dress. It's a 1949 dress with a long train, satin, and a beautiful neckline. And she and her fiance and groom eventually, they met on a blind date when they were in college. Then they went back to their own hometowns and they never lived in the same city until they got married. They communicated through love letters, and so we have their love letters that they wrote back and forth to each other 1947 until they got married in 1949. And it's everything from the letter that he wrote to her right after the proposal to get her response and how she was feeling, to her excitement after the proposal. One day he sent her flowers, and it's her response of how excited she was to get flowers from him. And then the one standing up in the case is a diagram of a floor plan of a house. Would that be their first house together? The photo on the right is their first date. And then the photo, of course, on the left is her bridal portrait. Love letters and writing letters and even real mail now is not something that our generation is going to understand and know the significance of. And so to have these letters and be able to show them, and for you to get this personal touch that this couple had is really unique. This year we have added not only wedding dresses, but going away dresses, mother of the bride dresses, some bridesmaid dresses. And these here are all from one family. They were fortunate enough that they've been handed down. The dress on the left is a wedding dress, 1920, and then the dress right next to it is her going away dress. So, brides today don't necessarily get out of their wedding dress when they leave, but that was, common then. So you've got wedding dress and going away dress, and this is from the 1920s. And then the other set on the right is her granddaughter, and this is 1974. This is her wedding dress and her going away dress. And so you can see definitely the 70s inspired in that going away dress. And not only did they keep the wedding dresses and the going away dresses, but they also have the shoes for the 1974. And then they've got the slippers or the shoes from the 1920 dress, along with the bride's fan and her string of pearls, and then with the wedding dress. And then with the going away dress, they have her boots, her hat, and her purse. And so they have been able to keep the whole ensemble together and pass it down. These two beautiful dresses were worn by the same bride in 2014. The bride is local, and she studied abroad in China and met her husband there. They came back, and they do live here locally. And when they got married, and she wanted her traditional wedding dress, and it's beautiful, and it's an ode to a design that is traditional Chinese. And in China, white is a color associated with mourning, and the groom was a little hesitant in the white dress, and so they added a beautiful red veil so that there would be a touch of red with her dress. And then the dress on the right is the dress that she wore to the reception, and that is her Chinese reception dress. They did have another wedding in China a few months later, and that's the Chinese wedding dress. So they're both beautiful and colorful in their traditions, and how the family has tried to blend both of those together. This has ended up being a great partnership with the people in our community. If it weren't for them letting us borrow their gowns and tell their stories, show their photos, we wouldn't have an exhibit. And they're the ones that bring in their friends and family, and it's our local people who come in to kind of walk through history through fashion. And it's not only Murfreesboro history, it's Middle Tennessee history, it's our regional history. And because we grow so fast with all of the transplants to town, the weddings didn't necessarily take place in Murfreesboro. It could be that grandma, has inherited, a dress that was worn in Ohio in the early on time. So the weddings took place all across the country.
The exhibit runs through March 1st. Admission is $10. The Oaklands Mansion is located at 901 North Manny Avenue in Murfreesboro. Reporting from Rutherford County, Barry Hiett, NCTV.